Yes, here we go. It is another wee episode of Ask the Bus. It is 5:30 on the 6th of January. And amazingly, since we were last on air, um, Martin O'Neill's back again. It's incredible. We finished last night's show with the news that Sean Maloney was taking training. We speculated that it meant Martin had maybe turned the job down. It was a strange way it was reported now when you reflect on it. It was Anthony Joseph, amongst others. And it was sort of, I think through the Sky, obviously through Sky's channels as well, that Sean Maloney would be taking training the next day, but no mention of O'Neill. So it was a wee bit annoying that we finished the show, not going to lie to you, on a note of speculating that Martin had maybe turned it down. Absolute bollocks to that. We were miles off it with that. Of course, it turns out they were taking training because Martin O'Neill was returning. And that was announced, I think, I'll be honest, about half an hour after we finished up. So I thought I'd come back on and obviously give our sort of reaction and get your reaction, more importantly, to the news that Martin O'Neill replaces Wilfred Nancy, having replaced Brendan Rodgers earlier this season. It's interesting with Martin because the two sort of most famous poor managers of the last 30, 40 years, he's replaced both of them, John Barnes and Wilfred Nancy, which is pretty interesting. Remember, all that good stuff means give us a wee like, give us a share. Remember, hit the subscribe button if you've not already. If you have hit the subscribe button, please do hit the bell because it'll give you the best possible chance of not missing these impromptu random episodes, which we will be doing more often than not. And isn't it mad to think that when you get rid of a manager after 33 days and you bring back a manager who hadn't managed in 6 years until his brief 8-game spell earlier on this season, bringing him back, having fucked up any sort of advantages you had in the league over your rivals and having fucked up the opportunity to go clear at the top of the league, that suddenly I feel zen again and I feel a real air of calm. I hate the term safe pair of hands because I think sometimes it's a wee bit condescending and doesn't give enough credit to the individual that you'll be referring to at said time. But I think in the interest of in the interest of respect to this particular situation, it does feel safer with Martin at the helm. It does feel as though the tumultuous 33 days that we've just had, easy for me to say as always, but it does feel as though we're in a better space already, a safer space, as I say, and one where I'm confident going forward with the right tweaks that I can't actually believe I'm going to say this. I think we're favourites for the league again. I'm going to go as far as that, and that's despite the 6-point gap. I know Mr. O'Neill would not like any talk like that as of yet, but I'm allowed to do it. But more importantly than feeling safe with Martin's return or anything like that, or any sort of protective vibes, we're all going to be okay sort of vibes. There's a bit of defiance with him today, wasn't there? There's a bit of that ego that I've spoke about him having before, just coming to the fore, if you like, at the press conference. Talks about the fact that he spoke on Talk Sport at first. I was listening to him this morning, and he said it did cross his mind not to accept the role. He had considered not doing it because obviously he'd kind of been there, seen it, done that, as Jim White put it, and he says, yeah, there was an element of that, but I've decided to do it. So I think that tells you his heartstrings aren't getting pulled as much this time. This is going to be a headstrong decision this time, as much as a heartfelt one as well from Martin. You then get to the presser, and whilst there's the comedy of it, feels just as strange as last time. Listen to the clip, I think it's doing the rounds on Twitter just now, of when he talks about transfers and just who will be having the final say on those, and just how imperative it is that we get them in. And boy, oh boy, did it feel like Martin O'Neill from the first era, more so than it did in his first interim spell, where he was Prince Charming, wasn't he? You know, for everybody, and he really did sort of bring a calmness to what was a storm at the time between the fans and the board. Still is, of course, but this time, what I like is there's a bit of I want, I need, I'm in charge sort of vibe coming from him, which I think is essential if we're going to go on and win the league. The 8 games where he navigated us to 7 wins from was a brilliant spell in firefighting in terms of winning ugly. But now we've given him another set of difficult circumstances to take over from, another challenge, if you like, and a team that I think's way further lacking in confidence than what they were when he took over from Brendan. So, with that in mind, if you want me to do the job, I'm going to roll my sleeves up. I'm going to fucking make some demands of you. You've demanded enough of me. I got a real sort of, you know, an element of O'Neill version 1. I don't mean interim 1. O'Neill version 1, where the backbone to him is very much still the same. The stern sort of determination to get what he wants, and wants what he, you know, and once he gets what he wants, having the tools. I don't know what I was going to say there. He's got the attitude to get what he wants, and then with that, the confidence seems to be in him. The defiance seems to be in him. Right, once I get what I want, fucking watch me go. But Celtic now, over to them, over to the board to get this guy backed. To identify. It's a big job for Martin to go through a list of players that he says Sean Maloney's been working on the whole time. Sorry, Wilfred. That's just life. But he says it'll firmly be on him which ones will be joining and which ones won't. So over to them to get on with that. But to the players that are there right now, you got what you wanted. You got the manager out. You know, I think the Luke McCowan interview, I think did us a favour, albeit I'm not usually a fan of that sort of thing, to be perfectly honest with you. But I suppose the flip side is honesty is not a bad thing either. But what the players that are there, if this is what they wanted, and they wanted Martin back, and they felt he was getting the right tune out of them this year, and they felt that Wilfred had took them steps back, well, now you've got it. He'll mend you if you don't start delivering yourself, because there's many players in that squad that I don't think are good enough, but there's many in there who have underperformed, who have not always felt like they were running through brick walls at times for the cause, and have certainly let themselves down at numerous occasions this season, particularly when you look at the results and the fall off of performances from half times in games. And that was a trait under Brendan as well. Don't be fooled. There was many a match that we discussed over the last 18 months where players, we seem to show up for 45 minutes and not so good the other 45 minutes, which does my fucking boxing. So there's a lot of pressure on them. O'Neill seems to be, with his aspect of the pressure, which of course is going to be beating Dundee United next, which is obviously a challenge within itself. But he seems to be with the other side of things, getting shit together, getting things organised in terms of recruitment. That seems to be one that he's relishing, one that he's putting himself front, left and centre of in no uncertain terms. It'll be my final call whether they join or not. And of course, with that comes great pressure on him as well. Absolutely, I get that. But now he's got the security of a longer term deal. And again, I'll quote him, he's not going to be feeling so much like a supply teacher this time around because he's got that longevity that maybe he wasn't after. I think he would have liked 18 months. I'm convinced of that. But the compromise has been to the end of the season, and of course now he's playing it. He's playing it really well where he's saying, you know, I might not have the energy next year and stuff. We'll see. But for now, he's got that security of the job's yours to the end of the season, albeit, of course, unless he decides to lose these next 6 for me as well. And I don't know what the fuck we do if that happens. But I don't see it happening, do you? No. I think what we've got now is a really poised Martin O'Neill, a slightly pumped up Martin O'Neill, a defiant Martin O'Neill, and maybe one that's sitting there going, "Do you remember the fuck I am?" That goes to the board as much as anyone. In fact, it goes to the board more than anyone. When I demand something and I tell you I need something for this shit show to start getting steered into the right direction, you better deliver. And when he says they will go all out for new signings, when he says the squad needs improved, no two ways about it, when he's using this sort of rhetoric, I think he's pretty definitive in terms of what he's expecting of this shit show of a board. How we deliver it, listen to Maloney. Listen to the players he's targeted. Let Martin O'Neill filter through them. Let these football guys guide you as to go and getting these targets. And don't fanny about when it comes to the final negotiation stage. Do not fanny about and let these guys down with the recruits. Just don't fucking even think about it. When it's been the list passed to Martin, when that list is filtered by Martin into a final sort of shortlist, go out and deliver. There'll be no one on the list that's utterly ridiculous. And it'll be interesting to see what types of players Celtic will be targeting. Will it just be loans such as the nature of the managerial stint, or will there be one or two gems on there that'll be too good not to try and secure permanently this window? We're going to need to be busy. We're going to need to be active. And I think with Martin there, we are going to definitely be ensuring that happens by hook or by crook, albeit my faith in the board hasn't changed. It's my faith in the manager and the nature of him saving their arse. This is a board that react to things, remember. They're not proactive. So we're in a reactive state right now, which tends to be when they deliver outcomes with more regularity, with more success. Never when it's proactively. I've warned of this for years. You can see it a mile away when you look at that Ange Postecoglou window that I think some people still get gooey-eyed about and think, oh, remember when we changed and all that bollocks? No, they fannied about for how that long. They couldn't believe they didn't get that manager in. The squad was skeleton squad. It was threadbare, and they had to, when Ange came in, trust him to go and get the recruits in that were going to actually give players in the team. If you remember, the centre-back, whose name is escaping me, Dane Murray, he started Postecoglou's first game, if I'm not mistaken, or one of his first games against Midtjylland. That was 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. See what you think about that? If he's a young player now, what was he like then? So don't be fooled. They were reactionary then, and they gave carte blanche to a football guy to go out and identify players for the squad. Because they were all in an affordable bracket, he was told yes more times than most managers were. But that was because it was a reactive state the board were in then. Do not be fooled. And again, the one thing I will say is, I think this January, they're in a similar predicament. Clearly, the squad isn't good enough. Clearly, it isn't. Albeit O'Neill won the results he did. The performances were still okay. There was some real highlights, like Feyenoord away was outstanding. But there was other games where it was pretty poor watching, pretty poor viewing, albeit we got the results. Brendan, it was really poor viewing at times, and we got results most of the time, not all of the time. And in big moments like Rangers away, we got a 0-0 draw. Like Kyra at home and away, it was 0-0 draws, and we know how that ended up. The 2-0 defeat at Dens Park, for example, comes to mind as well with Rodgers' spell. When on say it was 6 defeats from 8. So 3 managers, all that have had their struggles with the squad. So it's too obvious now that they're going to need to make improvements to it. And I do expect that to come. What form it comes in, whether it's loan signings or permanent, I'm not really sure. But yeah, it is an interesting time that we're in. Right, let's go to the comments and see what you are all saying. And in terms of transfers, anyone you can see Celtic going for, I'll throw a name in there. It wouldn't surprise me. And I think the sort of profile that, again, would take you back to O'Neill's first spell in charge. I think he's about 31, 32, but looks like he's going to be available on a free. Callum Wilson from West Ham. I wouldn't be surprised to see Celtic go and try and get him in. I know he's got that dodge injury record, but you know what? If he didn't, he wouldn't be available right now. He's been fit apparently all this season for West Ham, or most of the season. But his game time looks like it was going to be too limited with them bringing in a couple of strikers. He's got that old Premier League experience. He'll be a player that both the manager is familiar with, and he'd be affordable, I think, albeit with a higher bracket of wages. But that's life. Wages go up. You don't just keep paying 20 grand a week forever more because we were doing it in 2001. Like, it's life. I don't know how this club thinks it's going to keep progression with the same wage bill or the same sort of wage cap on some first team players that they had 25 years ago. It's just not the way it's going to be. In comes Seamus. Since it's a nice message, I'll read it out to get us going. Hail, Bhoycie. It's always a pleasure to listen to you and Matt getting to the crux of the issues. God bless you and thank the Lord. Martin is back. And now transfers are headlined. Watch the board. Yeah, we've got to keep our eye on the board. Absolutely. Yeah, this shout is going to be, I think, do a lot of mileage. I don't see Martin O'Neill approving a move for Kyogo at all. But Good Chakras comes in and he says, Kyogo and another striker. I want to see if Mon could get Kyogo back to his best. I think Kyogo's best has been gone for a while. If you remember, well, you might not remember, you might not watch the channel then, but I don't want to sound too fucking arrogant. But why would you have? But for those who have been watching the channel, I'd speculated up to the leading up to that January where he was sold, that is maybe he had just peaked a wee bit earlier and maybe we had seen the best goal scoring years from Kyogo. He's done nothing to change that in the last 18 months since he left Celtic. I'm sick of constantly going back over old players as well. I don't think Martin O'Neill would want a striker who has the goal return that Kyogo's offered the last 2 years of his career. A year away from Celtic, and the 6 months leading up to his year away from Celtic at Celtic. The goals have dried up for him, I'm afraid, and I think that would just lead to more frustration. Would Callum Wilson guarantee more goals? Of course not. No player guarantees anything. But I would expect someone of that sort of vintage with real experience in that could go into the team. Of course, Kyogo's got that as well. Can't take that away from him. I just don't know if that's the best move for us. Ask the bus. In comes Sculpso. How are you, mate? Good to have you back on, by the way. I think it's David Scullion, if I'm right. But Sculzo, we'll go with it, mate. Ask the bus. Bhoycie, would you definitely look for another goalkeeper? Surely. Yes. I absolutely would. I think we need to sorry, my cat's jumping up looking at fucking photos that are on one of my cabinets. I don't know. Do you know them, Paddy? I don't think you've ever met them. But yeah, I think the goalkeeper situation, I think we have to be real. Sculzo. Schmeichel's performance started, I thought he started amazingly at Celtic as well. I thought, fucking hell, he's an upgrade on Hart, a serious upgrade on Hart. Towards the end of the season, I think his performances started to depreciate in terms of quality. I think the goals started leaking a bit more. And now, I think shots that you would have been 80-20 on him a year ago to save, he's now 50-50. And with that in mind, and I think just a personality that's pissing people off. I mean, when he rolled the ball out at Motherwell and then he's sort of doing this full rage at the defender for what, not reading his absolute hospital pass that he played. I think that grates on people, to be honest with you. I think his physique grates on people. I'm not going to sit and take pops for the crack about someone's weight and stuff, but he's a professional footballer. And it does look to me that for the one position you need to be at your absolute most agile, particularly as you get older, I think he does look like he's carrying extra timber. I mean, there's filling out as you get to your late 30s. Not that I have as of yet. And then there's filling out, though. And I do think he is carrying a bit too much extra beef. And that could be construed as a complacency thing as well. Yeah, I would look at a new goalkeeper as the long and short answers for you, mate. In comes Chris D. Who do you think we should go for in our own league? I'm really not sure on that. I'm really not sure on that. I don't watch enough of the other games. Would be the long and short answer. I'm really intrigued though to know how the player, is it Jesper Carlson? Someone Carlson who went to Aberdeen from, I think it's Bologna. I remember he was highly rated for a lot longer than for before he went to Bologna. He's been a name that is sort of, you see fleeting about there, top prospect and stuff. And I expected to see his name in the headlines more than I have. But I wonder if he's someone you could look at. You're not going to get anyone from Hearts. You're not going to look at a Rangers player. Then it'd be Motherwell and Hibs players. I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest with you. I really don't know their squads well enough. So apologies, Chris, that my answer's so shite on that one. Excuse me. Stephen Mitzi's got a wee bit of a concern. Great to have you on as well, Stephen. No matter how good the legend Martin O'Neill does, Nancy could have done enough damage that we don't win the league. He could have done. Luckily, though, for Martin, with these 18 games, it's actually still in our hands. It is still in our hands. We're going to play Hearts twice to claw that back. So the only other team that's in the mix in terms of going on to win the league for real is Rangers. They're level on points with us. We play them twice as well. And then it's about obviously taking care of the rest of the business, which you've got to do. And we've not found that easy of late. It's in Martin O'Neill's hands to do it. In terms of damage, you're right. There has been plenty done mentally to the players as well. But the players have got to show that they can cope with adversity. That's what they're paid tens of thousands of pounds a week to do, mate. So I'm firmly of the opinion that the players have got us in this rut a bit as well, to be honest with you. Do I think Nonce was more to blame? Yes. Do I think the board overall are the highest or the greatest reason for our downfalls this season? Yes. I think it all stems from Kairat. The lack of recruitment before Kairat, the lack of investment in the team, the lack of supporting a bid for a fourth Champions League campaign after our best Champions League campaign in a decade. I think it all stems from there. Then I think Brendan just wasn't strong enough on his side of the fence. He tried to say everything to everyone, and it diluted his opinion a wee bit. And he's not got the full backing of the fans for departing again, which I think he should have got had he been more defiant in the press conferences, the multiple press conferences that he did all summer and early season. I'm off for a tangent. But yeah, do I think then when Nonces came in, he's done the six defeats in 8, the players shouldn't have got that. The players should have put in better performances. But I can't deny it. I do feel like there's the damage that's been done is a risk that Martin O'Neill's took on that he's backing himself to overcome. Let's see what else we've got. Just keep the comments coming in and I will read a few out until I just decide I'm going to fuck off, really. Smell the glove. Callum Wilson's a crock, but he's an excellent player when fit. Yep, totally agree, mate. But they're not going to be perfect, who it is we're looking for. They're either going to be lacking match fitness because they're out of the picture at their current club, or they're going to have injury records that aren't the envy of the world. But yeah, we will see how we do. Good Shakra says, I'm a day one, love the bus. I don't know what that means, but if this is your first day on the bus, welcome. And hopefully it'll be your first day of many. Right, just seeing if there's any others. Patrick Kerrigan's replying about the domestic players. Watson for Kelly, I can imagine Martin O'Neill liking. Happy days. Again, I just don't know enough about the other players. I'm not going to kid on him, some expert on it, because I'm absolutely not. AR, yeah, just on the Kyogo thing, Johnny Kenny scored more than Kyogo. 100%, mate. 100%. And then you've got this delightful chap coming in, Wilfred Nancy fan club. I mean, you've changed your handle to that, mate. I mean, that's tragic. And he's tuning into a Celtic pod to say, no surrender. Right, good on you, mate. Nice one. It's not like you boys to do walking away or anything like that, is it? No, no. Cheers for joining though, and you keep paying my rent, son. That's a joke, by the way, to anyone else who's watching thinking this pays my rent. It doesn't. Martin Kay is a recommended player. He would take Giakoumakis back. Apparently, on the list, the transfer list at his current club, something like that. I've read. Again, there's two sides to it. Do I think Giakoumakis would be a Martin O'Neill type player? Yeah, I fucking do actually. Do I think he would score a lot of goals in Celtic's team? Yes. Would he be a number one striker by a country mile, which he always dreamed of being? Yes. Does it piss me off that we're going back through former players and that all the time? Yeah, it does. That annoys me as well, to be perfectly honest with you. Josh Mulligan and Kieran Bhoycie from Hibs is Paul McFarlane's tips. Fair enough, mate. Filling out says, smell the glove. I tell myself that every day with regards to Casper's weight. Fair enough. Fair enough. At the end of the day, anyone will be better than Johnny Kenny and his sitters. I mean, I don't know if it's so much sitters that he's missing. Well, maybe. There's gilt-edged chances, I will call them, just for a bit of balance. Johnny Kenny, by the way, ironically, Martin O'Neill was getting a tune out of, if you remember. So he might be happy to back him again. I dare say Martin O'Neill will want another striker to win. And when he says they're going all out on signings, he's ramped the pressure on the board to deliver. And I think it would take a blind man not to be able to see that Celtic need another striker in ASAP. But the board, as we know, are as good as blind, because how they could not have that all lined up for the 1st of January, I'll never know. They do many signings above the manager's head, remember. They do many things above the manager's head or behind their back. Signing a striker that would actually help whoever the manager is, don't be absolutely ridiculous. Kevy, boy, what's the beer of choice this weather? It's that time of the year, mate, where I'm off it. I'm on the old dry January, I'm afraid, mate. So it is Ribena for me. Diluted Ribena, full sugar. It is nice. Oh, Wilfred Nuncy's fan club back in. We don't do walking away, mate. My memory must be serving me wrong, son. My memory must be, because I've seen you walk away a lot of times. There's obviously the big one we could talk about from 14 years ago. But there's many other occasions where, I don't know, you've been playing us, perhaps. Refreshing your memory at all? Yes, you might have won the last derby, mate. You've got level 1 points with Celtic, but I can think of many a time I've seen your lot walking away. So don't kid yourself on, son. Don't kid yourself on. Thank you for continuing to watch, though. You keep that meter going, mate. YouTube are loving you watching the boss. Don't tell him truths like that. Smell the glove. He didn't let his club die. Here comes Mitzi again. Look at our summer signings. Disgraceful. 10 million wasted on Taneke and Balikwisha. Shit. And Emura, etc. Shit. Did we sign a player called Shit as well? I don't know if that... The way you've worded that looks like the third player on your list, Mitzi, is Shit. We had Raphael Shite writing off back in the day. Listen, the transfer window, you're absolutely spot on. It was a fucking disgrace in the summer, mate. Yet again. And this is from the positions of strength that I'm trying to talk to you about, though. This was the summer window where really we were hoping to go, could Celtic just start maybe looking at that next level again and thinking, let's do the last 24 Champions League again. But let's get through it this time. Let's get a couple in to do that. We've just had 3 years in a row in the Champions League. We're going for year number 4, which would be a record for us as well. And instead, we just decided to put the brake button on, bring that glass ceiling back down. And by the way, see if we win the league this year, the board, it'll be such a relief. It'll be such joy that this is the default setting the board want to do. So then you have to go back in the cycle of, right, we need to build up to get into sort of the realms of even winning a game or two in the Champions League. We've just got our domestic issues sort of sorted. These are the sort of cycles they want you in. It's bizarre, but that is the way it is. Let's see if there's any other comments coming in. Right, Wilfred Nonce, I've had enough of you sitting here. It was nice to have you though, son. Thank you. He meant to say shin, but it came up shit. That was very funny. Right, okay. I'm going to get the fuck out of here because I hate when I'm just sort of rambling and reading the comments, sort of mumbling away. It was a nice, fun wee half an hour there. I will, as I say, this month try and be back on more often than I have been. It's not easy juggling it with work and stuff like that, but I just think there's so much going on at the club right now. It's good to have, one of the voices of reason, which I like to think I am, rather than fucking a big sycophantic fucking, oh, look how amazing this is at Celtic. Or are we all booing Celtic right now? Oh, are we all booing the board? Everyone's just jumped on the bone bagging right now because it's in vogue and the popular mass is the popular thing to do. If you want the real opinions, jump on the bus, cause no fuss. Get a grip of yourself. It don't cost much. See you later.